Germany offers one of the most generous family benefits on earth if you have your baby here. Up to 25,000 euros combined in Elterngeld and Kindergeld plus paid time off. However, a lot of families leave thousands of euros on the table because of how complicated the bureaucratic process can be. And mind you, two of the most important parts of this happens even before the baby is born. I'm Adaz. I work in HR here in Germany, and I'm currently going through this process as a new mom myself. So I'm not only giving you the HR side, but also the lived experience side. Save this video because you will need it. At the end of this video, you would get a 7-step process on how this whole process works. 5 of this process happens before the baby is born, 1 happens on the day of birth, and the last happens in the 8 weeks that follow. I will also flag 2 important processes that most foreigners miss, and one of them costs up to 4,000 euros in benefits that you are legally entitled to. Now, before we go through the steps, I would like to mention 3 of the benefits that we're protecting along the way. Number 1 is Mutterschutzgeld. This is your paid parental leave. It usually covers 6 weeks before birth and 8 weeks after. The next is Elterngeld. It pays up to 1,800 euros per month to both yourself and your partner up to 12 to 14 months after birth. And finally, we have Kindergeld. This currently pays up to 259 euros per child per month, up until when the child is at least 18 years old. Each step you're going to go through in this video is going to protect one of these, so you have to listen attentively and be very careful, because if you miss one, the money doesn't just wait, it's actually gone. Step number 1 is to tell your employer. As soon as you confirm that you're pregnant and you've gone through the early risk window, which is usually the first trimester, the first 3 months of your pregnancy, it's important that you inform your employer immediately. And as soon as you inform your employer, your Mutterschutzgeld right kicks in. At this point, your employer cannot just fire you because you're legally protected, not just for yourself, but also for the workload that you do. Another thing to keep in mind is that informing your employer verbally is not just enough. You have to write it down. Make sure that you send an email to your HR manager informing them of your proposed date of birth. To even keep it more formal, it is important that you write it as a formal letter and have it hand signed and sent to your HR manager. One thing to keep in mind is that the language actually doesn't matter. Whether it's in German or in English, your company is legally required to take your request seriously. It doesn't matter the language used. The most important thing is that your letter is clear and direct. I remember when I informed my manager, to be honest, it wasn't as complicated as most people might have it because I have a good relationship with my manager. However, I do understand that the relationship I have with my manager does not necessarily mean that's what every other person would have with their manager. And so it's important that you just inform them however way you feel comfortable informing them. I told my manager, she was very happy for me. I also informed the rest of my team. Everyone was super happy for me. And so it made it super easy for me to transition from being the colleague and the teammate that is always there at every time to being the colleague that was about to go on a maternity leave period, always has doctor's appointments here and there. And everyone in the team was super accommodating. So it's important that you inform your manager and also the HR. That way you don't have to make excuses whenever you have to go for something super important regarding your pregnancy and your baby. Step 2 is to inform your Krankenkasse and to look for a Hebamme. This step is in 2 parts. The first one is that you have to inform your Krankenkasse, that is your health insurance provider. You have to tell them that you're currently pregnant and they would begin the documentation for you. In some cases, they would even send you the Mutterpass. In my case, I did not receive a Mutterpass from my health insurance. I received it from my Frauenarzt, that is the gynecologist. So aside from you going to your gynecologist for all the checkups that you need to do, it's important that they give you your Mutterpass. With the Mutterpass, it contains the details of your pregnancy. It's also important that you have your Mutterpass with you at all times because in some cases, you might have maybe an accident. I remember I had an incident on my way to work one day. I was just throwing up. I was throwing up at the U-Bahn. Luckily for me, I was my husband that day, so it was easy for him to help me through that situation. Assuming I was by myself and somebody else was there to help me, and probably I wasn't able to coherently express myself because of how embarrassing the moment was, my Mutterpass would have helped answer whatever questions they had, especially if maybe medical practitioners were involved. So it's always important that you have your mutter pass with you. Secondly, is that you should get a Hebamme. Actually, it's not pronounced Hebamme, it's pronounced Hebamme. This is essentially a midwife. A midwife is not automatically assigned to you in Germany. You have to apply for a midwife. It's not very easy to get a midwife, I must say. It took me a long time before I finally found mine. I sent a couple of emails to different midwives that I found online. There are also different websites you can go to check out for midwives, depending on your city, depending on your area, and also on your district. You can go online and check for midwives that are closest to you. Reach out to as many as possible. Call them, send them emails. If you have their address, it might even be helpful if you show up there, because they are very hard to get, and some of them are already booked 6 months in advance. So you need to know how much logistics goes into that. But anyways, the midwife is covered by the health insurance company, so you don't have to pay for a midwife, and the midwife helps you through your pregnancy period, before birth, during your birth, and even 12 weeks after birth. So they're super helpful, especially if you don't have anyone coming here to help you through the omugwo phase. If you need more midwife referrals, you can also ask your Frauenarzt or your gynecologist. They have a couple of them that they can send your way. Step 3 is to switch your task class. Most people miss this stage. Usually for everyone in Germany, you fall under a task class. If you're married, you fall either under task class 4, yourself and your partner, or task class 3 and 5. And because your Elterngeld is calculated from the average of your last 12 months, it might be helpful for you to switch to a task class 3, because a task class 3 gets taxed favorably, so they are taxed less. However, it's important for you to do the calculation so that you don't end up shooting yourself in the feet. You can always get a Rechnung calculator online and do the calculation. If, for example, you fall under task class 3, how much taxes will be deducted from you? How much will be your net income? And if you remain under task class 4 as a married person, how much will you get? Also keep in mind, if you're a single parent, you should also keep in mind the task classes as well, because all this come into play to how much money you would end up receiving at the end of the day. So make sure that the task class 3 actually favors you before you switch. It's important you keep this in mind, because most people don't take this into consideration before the baby comes. And for you to change your task class, you have to inform the Standesamt, or you have to fill an Antrag for Steuerklassenwechsel. And it's also important for you to keep in mind that you have to do this 7 months or more before the baby comes, because once the baby is born, it becomes too late for you to make any of these changes. And as I said, your Elterngeld will be calculated from the 12 months average before your baby comes. Step 4 would be for you to collect your payslip. To be honest, this is one of the most boring stages, but it's super important, because your payslip comes into play not just for your Elterngeld, but also for other applications as well. You don't want to get to a point where you don't have your payslips already organized and the baby is already here, because when the baby comes, your focus would be on the baby. However, you still have some of these bureaucratic things you need to do, and so it keeps you more calm or more focused when you have things already organized. So collect your last 12 months payslip. If you changed jobs within this past 12 months, collect the payslip from both companies. They would come in very handy. If you're self-employed, collect your last Steuer tax return slip, your Steuerbescheid. And even if you had 0 income months, collect that information as well, because all this will be averaged and used to calculate your Elterngeld. It's also important that you put this information into a folder that is findable, so that when you need it, it's within reach. Step 5 would be to register for Kita. This part is the one that has me right now on a code. Kita in Germany appears to be one of the most sought after things here. When you're pregnant, actually before your baby comes, it's important that you already go and sign up in a Kita. In my case, we moved houses after the baby came, and so I had to look for a Kita immediately we got to our new district. You can always look for a Kita depending on how best you want it to be. If you want it to be closer to your house, fine. If you want it to be closer to your office, the most important thing is you have to find the one that is most practical for you. So looking for Kitas, it's important that you're on the wait list of several Kitas in your district. That way, once your baby comes and a spot is open for you, you can easily get a spot out for yourself. Keep in mind that registering in a kita does not guarantee that you would have a spot, and getting the kita good shine is a whole new process on its own. I'm going to make a dedicated video on this whole kita thing because it is really giving me a tough time right now, and I would like to let you know some of the things that I have done so far that I don't know if it's even making things easier for me, but just for you to be aware of when you're going into this whole kita business. So while you're reaching out to the kitas around you, don't wait for them to respond to your email, because most of them typically don't respond to emails. It takes them weeks if they will even respond to you. So best case, get a list of 5 to 10 kitas around you, reach out to them either by visiting or by calling them, get a response. Actually, I would prefer if you go to these kitas, fill out the form, and then make sure that your name is, in their wait list. You would also need your payslip to request for a kita good shine. That's why it's very important that you keep your payslips in a location that you can easily find them. And you should also always check up on the kitas each month. Write them, visit them, make sure that you're seeing your face constantly, so that whenever they have a spot, you would be one of the first people that they would get back to. The next step would be to register at the Standesamt. This is for your birth registration. Typically, after your birth, the hospital helps you with your birth certificate, but in some cases, you might be asked to request for your birth certificate yourself. In my case, I was told to get my birth certificate myself because I had my baby towards the weekend, and so the office where this is usually processed in the hospital was already closed. In this case, you have to get your birth certificate and your partner's birth certificate in original copy. At least this was my experience. It has to be in the original copies, and the hospital will also guide you on how you can apply to the Standesamt. In our case, we submitted everything physically to the Standesamt. They asked us to get the original copy. This took a while because my original birth certificate was missing, so I had to get a new one from Nigeria. And all in all, we finally got the birth certificate, and it's important that you also get additional birth certificates. All together, you should get at least 5 birth certificates. 3 of them will be submitted to different authorities. So you have one for Elterngeld, you have one for the Krankenkasse, you have one for the Kindergeld, and then you need to have 1 local birth certificate for your baby and 1 international birth certificate. Altogether 5. So it's important that you already have the documents, not just your birth certificate, also your marriage certificate if you're married, and your marriage certificate might need to be translated and apostillated as well. So get all these prepared so that by the time you want to apply for your birth certificate, it becomes super easy. For the final step, this usually happens within the 8 weeks after birth. And I'm going to lump everything into, very small bullet points because they're just little things you have to do, but you need to do them. First things first, you need to register your baby. Your baby needs to be registered at a Bureaucratic. Of course, I know they are so small. I know all of that. However, they are also human beings and they need to be recognized in the state. And your birth certificate is not enough. So please register your baby. With that, you would receive tax ID and all other information that pertain to your baby. The next thing would be to apply for the Elterngeld. Remember that all these documents that you've collected and you've assembled over time, you actually don't apply for them until the baby is here. That way you have the exact birth date. And with that, they have to recalculate your Elterngeld and recalculate your Elterntitles. All these little details are very important. So the Elterngeld can be backdated up to 3 months. If you don't apply for your Elterngeld on time, you would literally lose money. They only pay dates of 3 months. So if you apply 5 months after your Elterngeld should actually start reading, you've lost 2 months of your money. Next thing would be to apply for your baby's Kindergeld. They would usually send you the tax ID automatically, and with the information on the tax ID, they would use it to calculate the baby's Kindergeld, and they begin to pay you as soon as the application is processed. Another would be to add your baby to your Krankenkasse. If you use a statutory Krankenkasse, that's a statutory health insurance plan, adding your baby to your Krankenkasse is super easy. You don't have to pay additionally. You just need to inform your health insurance company that you have a baby, send information including the birth certificate, and they would automatically add the baby to your Krankenkasse. In my case, they also sent me my baby's Krankenkasse card. That way, whenever I have doctor's appointments, I just need to show his card and it was good to go. However, if you have a private health insurance, you will need to pay additionally to have your child insured. So check with your health insurance company and know what best fits. Another would be to inform your employer. Your employer needs to be aware of when your baby was born. That way they can recalculate your Elterngeld. So remember that Mutterschutzgeld is 6 weeks before birth and 8 weeks after. Your doctor would have given you your due date, which they'll use to calculate, but the most accurate result comes after the baby is born with the actual birth date. That way they recalculate, and then you know for sure when your Elterngeld starts and ends and when your motor starts ends. I know we've said so many things, but I'd like to quickly recap by stating that for this whole bureaucratic process, don't sleep on informing your health insurance company. Don't sleep on getting a Hebamme, like a midwife. Don't sleep on checking your tax class, because you could actually get some more money from there. And inform the right authorities as at when due, so you don't lose money or become late in your process. If you're going through this process right now, let me know in the comments what has surprised you the most. Was it your Mutterschutzgeld application, your Kindergeld, your Kita application? What has it been that has surprised you the most? I'm going to be going through my comment section. I'm going to read all of your comments. I'll probably come back to make a follow-up video if I see the need to. If you enjoyed this video, you probably enjoy the next video talking about Mutterschutzgeld, your right as a pregnant employee here in Germany. I would encourage you to click on the video and let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you have any topics for me to discuss. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you congratulations on the birth of your newborn. Thank you and take care. Ciao.